Good evening, I'm Camden Cohn, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the 1890 Initiative. Earlier today, the Nebraska women's gymnastics team announced an additional transfer. Reese Bockley is the second transfer from Lindenwood to join the squad. Head coach Heather Brink had this to say about Bockley, quote, "We are pleased to welcome Reese to Lincoln. I know she's excited to be a part of the program and get to work. She was an integral part of the Lindenwood's depth on multiple events. I look forward to seeing her continued growth and can't wait to see her shine under the lights of Devaney," end quote. In other Husker news, earlier today, it was announced that Nebraska Volleyball would play Kentucky in the AVCA First Serve Showcase. The game will be played in Louisville, Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center, the site for this year's Final Four. The other game in the showcase is Wisconsin against Louisville. Finally, there is one NBA playoff game tonight in the Western Conference Finals. The Timberwolves host the Mavericks at 7:30. The Mavs lead the series 3-1 and can close it out tonight in Minneapolis. Our sports ticker is sponsored by the 1890 Initiative. Do you want to support Husker student athletes through name, image, and likeness? If so, visit 1890nebraska.com. Hour 1 of Sports Nightly is up next, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
And they 1-0. Swung on, hit pretty well towards the left field. And it's going to sail out of here. Onto the concourse behind 126. Josh carrying it with a 3-run bomb. And it's 3-1 Huskers.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball ripped to left center field. That's going to be a gapper. That's going to score the run. And the Huskers have taken a 2-1 lead. Gabe Swanson with an RBI double. It's now Nebraska 2, Penn State 1 in the top of the ninth. Brett ready to deliver the first pitch. Breaking ball, that's looped in left field. Gabe Swanson is there. He squeezes it. And your Huskers are Big Ten champions. After losing game 1 Tuesday night, they come back and win 5 straight and capture the Big Ten tournament for the first time since joining the league. And the dog pile is ongoing in front of the plate.
Here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome into Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody. We've got a fun couple hours scheduled for you here coming up tonight. Our final show of the week. We started our best of series last week, but we'll also be busy all day long with Husker baseball on the air in regional action. So before we dive into too much other things here on the program here tonight, I did want to get a check because typically during this time of the year, you know, from Oklahoma, there's always some craziness happening in the weather. In the Women's College World Series, the start of it today was actually even delayed because there was some weather down there today. Oklahoma just, they had a pretty dominant performance in their opening round against Duke. They won 9-1 in 6 innings. But it just always happens. It never fails that a lot of times this time of year down there, it can derail some of the things that go on down there. Stillwater is about 40 minutes from the ballpark in Oklahoma City. So we are scheduled for a 2:00 first pitch tomorrow in Stillwater for Husker baseball against Florida. But as always, you got to be on standby with the weather. So before we let Camden go, you know, he's multi-talented. I told him to pull up a full-on weather report for us so that we can be fully aware of what to expect for tomorrow. Are we going to be on time with the 2:00 first pitch?
It's going to be questionable.
Okay.
It looks like rain for much of the morning in Stillwater. And then when you turn over to the afternoon, it looks like it's going to be more scattered in the later afternoon hours. So you can't rule out the isolated storms popping up, obviously, throughout the early afternoon hours. But it appears that the system should be out of the area by about 5. Looking at highs in the mid-70s, should top out around 75 with partly cloudy skies. And then wind anywhere between 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the northeast. But obviously the weather can change quickly, but that's how it looks now.
Wow, that's incredible. You need to clip that off and put that on your resume reel in case you want to work for the Weather Channel. You even had a full-on radar for people watching on YouTube. That was impressive. Okay. So, Cole, if we do go to delay, we'll have plenty of, we'll fill the air, all of that good stuff.
Yep, we'll fill the air. We've got plenty of highlights from this season, whether it's Jackson Brockett's no-hitter, the Big Ten championship, a lot of ear candy for the listeners if we go into a delay.
Okay, well, we will keep you guys updated on that. We're going to talk more baseball here coming up here later on in the show. But big news again today coming out. Kickoff times, more kickoff times were released. And now Husker football have 6 of the 12 games for the upcoming season set. We know what time they're playing and what TV network they're going to be on. And one of the games that was announced today, the UTEP game, the opener, 2:30 on Fox. Will be a little toasty, there's no doubt about it. But, again, the news that has come out that the Huskers are switching the sideline, so at least they'll have a little bit of shade there on that sideline. The September 14th game against Northern Iowa, another night game. How about that? 6:30. We heard Coach Cook saying last night. We've heard a lot of the coaches talk about how great that is for recruiting to have night games. So Northern Iowa game against 6:30. And then the game at Purdue, September 28th, 11 a.m. So, yeah, lots of filling in here as we quickly approach, I guess, what's the official date? The guys in the chat usually tell us every single day how many days are from kickoff, but we're under 100 days. So it's pretty cool that we have 6 of the 12 games and can look ahead. And then how about this? The game against Iowa, first time ever, going to be on primetime on NBC. So the Huskers just racking up those primetime games. Huge opportunity, national audience, and I know these networks know that the ratings come in for Husker football, so they love that. But how does this all work with the 3 networks and the incoming schools? We have the Friday night game on Fox. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of moving parts. So we thought we'd spend some time here tonight and dive into all of that. What goes into it, how it works, how each networks get each games and each week and all of that good stuff. So we have an expert on it. In fact, Carrie Kenny is in charge and responsible for overseeing all of the broadcast rights there. So he's going to come up next. He's going to join us next and dive into all of that and explain all of that for us. But we've got, again, a jam-packed 2 hours for you. So we're going to work in our first break here. Coming up, we're going to have the President, Chris Kabourek, going to stop by and give us an update on all things happening here on campus at Nebraska. We have the fastest guy to ever run the 200 meters here for Nebraska track and field. Garrett Kailey going to stop by in hour number 2, and then Ben McLaughlin going to give us all the details, everything we need to know heading into the regional starting tomorrow. So we'll get to our first break. And as always, if you want to be a part of the show, 402-413-2400 is that number to text in. Husker fans, check out the all-new Hy-Vee Perks program. Sign up for the totally free Hy-Vee Perks program and enjoy exclusive perks pricing on hundreds of items in-store and online. Score big savings today at Hy-Vee.com/perks. Hy-Vee is an official grocery partner of Husker Athletics and is your one-stop shop for making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Visit your local Hy-Vee today.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails. Dress up for a night out on the town or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the Trail-Tamin 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Get ready to rule the field and revolutionize your farming game with Valley, the game changer in irrigation and ag tech solutions. With time and labor-saving measures, ground truthing results, and effective input reduction, Valley provides the perfect game plan so you stay ahead of what's in the field. From the best in irrigation and cutting-edge ag tech solutions to personalized support, Valley is your winning team. Visit your local Valley dealer or valleyirrigation.com today.
Experience personalized service and exceptional deals at Woodhouse Lincoln. With cutting-edge technology and incredible design, Woodhouse Lincoln is the place to find your next luxury vehicle. Going on now. Receive 2.9% APR for 72 months on the 2024 Lincoln Navigator. Or save up to $2,000 off MSRP with retail customer cash on the 2024 Lincoln Navigator. With approved credit, $299 dock fee due at signing. Offer expires July 8, 2024. See dealer for details.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. Find yours with Ford F-150. Gas, hybrid, or all electric. Whether it's towing, powering up, or getting from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, what you choose to do with that much power is up to you. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Get 1.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a brand new 2023 F-150 only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks. Foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
Husker fans, springtime in Sarpy County means sports and outdoor activities. Catch an Omaha Storm Chasers baseball game or a Union Omaha Pro soccer match at Werner Park. Visit Fontenelle Forest, where you can enjoy tree rush adventures or hike and bike on one of the many trails. Play a round of golf or experience great fishing. Relax, refresh, and rediscover yourself with a springtime trip. Plan your adventure at GoSarpy.com.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and over the last few weeks, we've gotten more and more exciting news as the football schedule continues to unfold, and we've got kickoff times for the Husker football team, and we talked a little bit about more kickoff times coming out just today. And again, you're seeing more and more announcements with the CBS, the Fox, the NBC, a lot of moving parts. And so we thought we'd do a dive into trying to understand all of the inner workings of it. And so we're bringing in the guy who's responsible for all of it for the Big Ten, Carrie Kenny, the Chief Operating Officer, and again, responsible for all television broadcast media rights, negotiations, and execution. Carrie, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks, Jessica. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, as you start to see more and more of the football season start to come together with all the new Big Ten teams and the new networks, how has it been for you to see this thing as it starts to get put together a little bit?
It's really been a process that's a little bit of fun, a little bit of anxiety built into it, but mostly a lot of excitement. I mean, when you look at what we have in front of us for the upcoming football season, you know, it's really an unprecedented season for us with 18 schools, including the 4 newest members on the West Coast. We have 4 unbelievable broadcast partners in NBC and Fox and CBS and the Big Ten Network. You know, we touch on 3 different time zones, which, you know, as we announced all of this information earlier today, you know, for the first time, we listed Eastern, Central, and Pacific times on each of the games just to help our fans familiarize themselves with the different locations. And so there's a lot of work that goes into this, you know, behind the scenes in terms of working, you know, with our schools, with our network partners, and, you know, just trying to understand preferences and, you know, ultimately landing in the spot that we do. But, you know, we really look at this as, you know, a television partnership with those partners and just a scheduling process that's unmatched anywhere in college sports. We'll have at least 55 of our games on broadcast platforms this year, which is just a really staggering number. And then that's balanced with our great partnership with BTN, and then even some of the exclusive games that we have on Peacock, who, fans are now a little bit familiar with that after a season on the Big Ten football and men's and women's basketball side of things. So just really pleased with where we landed, and you start to see the excitement around these announcements with people starting to make plans for the upcoming season.
How good is it for the conference and the future of the conference that you do have the partnerships with the multiple big-time networks like the big three that we've talked about?
It's really an unbelievable opportunity for us and sets us up, through the end of the decade before our media deals are done. It allows us to reach the broadest amount of people when you think about alums and you think about fans and parents of these young men and women, but also, recruits and people, not just on the athletic side, but admissions for the university as a whole. These networks are huge multinational marketing platforms for us. They're an opportunity for us to tell our story, to show, our content on the biggest platforms possible. And, when you look at NBC and CBS and Fox in particular, those are broadcast networks that, reach 100 million homes. And so you're really broadening your reach. Broadcast is still where, content is king in the sense that the most people have the opportunity to watch a game there. And so if you look, I know in Lincoln, the news a couple weeks ago about that Colorado game being on NBC in prime time, just the deep nature of that rivalry, dating back for decades, some of the greatest games in Nebraska history against Colorado, and now what they've been able to do with Deion, leading them into year two. Just the excitement that I've seen around that, whether you look at Nebraska message boards or on social media, I've seen it compared to the 2014 primetime game against Miami and just some of the other notable games in the history of Memorial Stadium. And you can just anticipate now, a couple months in advance, what the atmosphere is going to be like there. That's really an opportunity for, Nebraska as an institution to showcase itself to the world, not just athletics, but, from an overall university perspective. And so just the partnership, it's unique. NBC, Fox, CBS, they all compete against each other in the global sense, of acquiring rights and sponsorship dollars and viewership, et cetera. But in terms of our Big Ten deal, they work really well together to make sure that we put the best foot forward each football Saturday during the fall to make our fans feel like they've got the best combination of platforms showing our games.
Can you maybe dive into that a little bit more, how the draft process works and how each network, I know they have the preferences as you just mentioned, but how they go about what if certain networks want the same game, how you guys go about the selection process and the Fox Friday night and how all of that works?
Absolutely. In some ways, you could teach a graduate level course about how our selection process works in football or in basketball. But, it really boils down to the conference creates the schedule. So we determine which games are played on which dates. And that includes, the games that are moved from Saturday to Friday or Saturday to opening Thursday. But then when it comes to TV networks actually selecting those games, they do have a draft where, there are picks that are assigned to each of those networks that were negotiated into our contracts back in 2022 before we announced our new set of deals. And we have a system that's really broken down into two separate parts of the draft. A couple weeks ago, we held the draft where, for the first 3 weeks of the season, the networks have to actually select a game and assign a network and a start time to it. So for, week 2, NBC said, we want Colorado at Nebraska. It'll be 7:30 and it'll be on NBC broadcast. For weeks 4 through 14 in this year, because it's a 14-week season, they are not selecting games quite yet. They are just selecting picks in a week. So, it's public information, so I can reveal this part of it. But, Fox, with one of their priority picks, said, we want the first pick in week 14. But they don't actually select that game until 12 or 6 days in advance of that week. Now, we all know that Fox is going to select Ohio State, Michigan with that game. It's the most watched game every year.
Right.
And so they're going to place a priority on that. But the way that college works is you give the networks the flexibility to follow the narrative of the season. So a game that looks good on paper in May, by the time you get a week or 2 weeks ahead of it, that game may be better or may be worse than what it was projected to be during the preseason aspect of the draft. And so with 12 or 6 days advance notice, the networks actually get to choose which game they have based on how that selection process worked during the spring. So some weeks Fox may have the number one pick, some weeks NBC may have the number one pick, and some weeks CBS may have the number one pick. And those picks are locked in, but which games they actually use those picks on won't be determined until we get into the season.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And in terms of, we're talking football, but now you add in these schools from across the country and the other sports. And I know fans really get excited about the volleyball release as well. How do you guys go about now navigating through that and working through the scheduling for the TV partners and all of that with the other sports, and also navigating the coast to coast challenges of these teams as well?
It's definitely been an interesting puzzle to solve. And what we found out is every sport is a little bit different and unique in terms of how we've had to consider geography, how we've had to consider travel, competitive balance, et cetera. Still, the process is very similar in each of the sports where, again, similar to the football, the conference will build the schedule, where the games are, which dates they're played, and then the networks, we work with them to, figure out who's going to broadcast which games. I think in a sport like women's volleyball, which again, as you noted, such an important part of Nebraska's, culture and society, not just in athletics, but just the community as a whole. That's one where we're trying to figure out ways to continue to grow the success that we saw on a broadcast level last fall. Obviously it started with 92,003 people in Memorial Stadium and ended, with a great matchup in the national championship game. We just saw so much growth from a viewership perspective and just a visibility perspective. So we've really been working with NBC and with Fox to try and find ways to access more of those broadcast and cable windows, in addition to the unbelievable coverage that the Big Ten Network provides for a sport like women's volleyball. And so that's been an exciting new challenge. Is you have 4 new schools that have, really successful legacies in terms of national championships or, competing for conference championships in their prior conference. And now you have to balance all of these different competitive and geographic and television factors in a way where we'll try and make some strong assumptions and educated guesses in this first year. But, we understand that there's going to be some times where we make some of those assumptions and it's a swing and a miss. And so we'll have to learn from the schools and from the networks what worked, what didn't work, and try and adjust that from year 1 to year 2 in this new model with 18 teams. But overall, it's really been fun to, figure out new ways to, reach new audiences and try and use different historical rivalries or whatever it may be to help, continue growth in a certain sport like women's volleyball.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you too, just with the explosion of women's sports, and we saw it with volleyball, we saw it with women's basketball, and especially in the Big Ten Conference, how much interest have you seen from these other networks that, they want to help continue to grow the game and have the exposure for these women's sports? And it's got to be exciting for the conference to have that kind of opportunity to continue to grow these women's games.
It absolutely is. And as the father of a 2-year-old daughter, it's just something that, I've got this unbelievable excitement that I look through the lens of what her future could look like because of what's currently going on in women's sports. And obviously, we saw, whether it was with women's volleyball last year and just the success, whether the attendance, the viewership, women's basketball, again, so much of the narrative focused on the unbelievable story of Caitlin Clark, but we saw, viewership growth across all of our teams last year and across the Big Ten network in general, in games not involving Iowa. And then you see some of the new schools that are coming in for us this year, the excitement around, USC and UCLA and some of the recruits they've signed and transfers they've signed. So we really have this moment where, women's sports have always been, really successful in the Big Ten, and they've always competed for championships. But it took, I think, this past year of networks leaning in and being strategic and opening up new windows, whether it's broadcast, whether it's cable, trying new things from a promotional standpoint. Like it's stuff that was always sitting there waiting to be activated, but it just took some strategy and some willingness to actually lean into it to find the success that people, knew could always be there for these sports. And so it's just a credit to our partners, our conference, the schools, the coaches who are willing to do things differently to help get more games on television. Like there's just so much of a shared success story here, and we don't expect it to really drop off. There might be some ebbs and flows in terms of, pure data and numbers, but just the trajectory as a whole, we're really excited to see how that continues here, especially with our 4 new programs coming in.
That's great. We've heard so many good things about Tony Petitti, but his background in television, how helpful has that been as you guys navigate through all of this and with the multiple broadcast partners?
It's been unbelievable. I mean, he has such a keen eye for, everything at the granular level, whether it's scheduling and programming, which he, did back in the day at ABC, whether it's the production, the look and feel of what a game should look like on television. He was executive producer for CBS Sports for so many years and then at MLB Network. So he just has this unique lens of seeing it from multiple angles. And now on the college side, he's been able to really push, our staff, our schools, and our network partners to try and do things differently. It might have worked one way really well for, BTN for the last 5 or 6 years, but, what if we took this into consideration and tried this? How can we get more live coverage of certain Olympic sport championship events that we haven't been able to do in the past because of X, Y, and Z? And so, it's fun for me personally to be able to, sit in a room and bounce ideas off of him and just, hear storytelling from him of, back in the day, here's what we did on this issue at CBS or at ABC or whatever it may be. And so it's just helped us become a much more well-rounded, TV and scheduling group within our office to help our schools and help our partners, really achieve as much success as they can do.
We're visiting with Carrie Kenny of the Big Ten Conference. I just got a couple more for you. I did want to ask you maybe your perspective on, as we see the college football playoff expand, do you foresee some of the Big Ten's broadcast partners pushing to maybe get involved with that in the future?
It's tough to tell. Obviously, we're excited about ESPN continuing its partnership in the expanded playoff, and obviously the news a couple weeks ago that they're going to sublicense some games to TNT, starting this upcoming year with the new expanded 12-team playoff. I think the way that we look at it is, our 3 network partners here have an opportunity to really create momentum and create a narrative around our schools during the regular season that, hopefully will help in the selection room. And as we, get to the postseason, it'll give ESPN an opportunity to capture, our season in a way that our network partners played a part in. And so I think there's this flywheel effect where the success of our regular season is going to help the success of the postseason, which then helps the success of our subsequent regular season. And so even though ESPN's the rights holder, for the next 8 years, it is something where Fox, NBC, CBS, and BTN still play a major role in creating that successful college football ecosystem overall. But we're really looking forward to this new expanded playoff. I think if you look at the 18 teams that we have, the success that we've proven both in the 14 playoff era and the BCS era beyond that, we just have a lot of teams that are going to be in the mix. And really it's our challenge to continue to message that with the depth and the quality of the schedule that all of our teams are going to be asked to play in this new Big Ten, the selection committee and the selection criteria will hopefully acknowledge that, an 8-4 or 9-3 or a 10-2 season in the Big Ten is still a successful outcome, and hopefully dispel that narrative that you need to have 1 loss or 0 losses to be able to play for a national championship. So we're excited to see how it plays out, but we're pretty confident that our teams will be, right there at the forefront to access those championship opportunities.
Great stuff. Well, you have a basketball background. You played college basketball. I know you've worked closely with figuring out the college basketball aspect of the broadcast partners. I have to ask you, what was your take on Fred Hoiberg and the Huskers and the season they were able to put together last season?
It had all the respect in the world for Fred and the program and what they were able to do last year. I mean, who was not enamored and wrapped up in the phenomenon that was Keisei Tominaga?
Yeah.
Just the passion he played with, but really you could tell the sense of culture in the locker room and what, Fred and his staff had established, early on in the season. You could tell that this was a Nebraska team that was built differently and one that, continued to prove that they were up to the challenge of, knocking off heavyweights both within the Big Ten, in non-conference play. And then, obviously some things could have bounced differently in the NCAA tournament for them. But they certainly proved themselves in the Big Ten proud during the season. And so really excited to see what, Fred is able to do moving forward. But also, you see the success that Coach Williams had on the women's side, and obviously loses a star in Jazz Shelley, but a lot of great kind of returning parts there to hopefully build on the momentum of being right there at the precipice of winning a Big Ten tournament championship last year.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Appreciate it. Fascinating stuff, and helping us kind of understand, because I know it's as you mentioned, a big jigsaw puzzle. So we appreciate your perspective on all of that.
No, thanks so much for the opportunity, Jessica, and look forward to hopefully making a trip out to Lincoln this fall to take in some great Big Ten football.
You got to pencil in the primetime game versus Colorado. That's the one you got to be here for.
I may need to hold you to
that. Thank you again for being here with us. Again, that is Carrie Kenny, the Chief Operating Officer with the Big Ten Conference, joining us on our Sports Nightly Hotline, brought to you by Woodhouse. Woodhouse Auto Family is your trusted auto partner with 20 brands and 20 convenient sales and service locations. We're making car buying on your terms. Visit us online at woodhouse.com.
Noddle Companies is proud to support Husker Athletics. As a leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Sunnyside Exarban, and Row House Townhomes on Leavenworth. Noddle Companies is adding Omaha's first hybrid timber building to the skyline. Soon to follow is Builders Green Park, surrounded by mouth-watering food, exciting retail, and a hub of thriving businesses. Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Go Huskers!
Experience a redefined car buying experience with Woodhouse Mazda. Visit the Metro's exclusive Mazda dealers and explore our exceptional lineup, like the versatile and capable Mazda CX-50 or the sleek and modern Mazda CX-30. Right now, receive 0% APR for 36 months or $1,500 off MSRP on the full lineup of 2024 Mazda CX-50s. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra when financed through Mazda Financial Services. $299 doc fee due at signing. Offer expires May 31st, 2024. See dealer for details.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
It's time for another round of Nebraska Farm Facts. If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens. Farmers and ranchers raise livestock and poultry to provide nutritious, affordable protein for all ages to help build muscle and maintain energy for a healthy lifestyle. Keep that in mind as you prepare all that tasty meat on your tailgate grill. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Husker fans, springtime in Sarpy County means sports and outdoor activities. Catch an Omaha Storm Chasers baseball game or a Union Omaha Pro soccer match at Werner Park. Visit Fontenelle Forest, where you can enjoy tree rush adventures or hike and bike on one of the many trails. Play a round of golf or experience great fishing. Relax, refresh, and rediscover yourself with a springtime trip. Plan your adventure at GoSarpy.com.
Hi, this is Husker National Champion and Super Bowl champ Tony Veland. Throughout my football career, chiropractic care helped my athletic performance on the field and kept me in the game. Today, regular chiropractic care keeps me healthy and active to do the things I love. Chiropractic is safe and effective for all ages. Make chiropractic your first choice to reduce pain, improve your mobility, and feel better naturally. It works for me, and it can work for you too. Learn more at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Stay active with chiropractic.
For farmers, productivity isn't an option, it's everything. And at Valley, we feel the same, delivering game-changing technology and irrigation solutions that advance agricultural productivity, with the results to prove it. From our leading irrigation technology to expert advice, you can always rely on Valley to bring out the best in your farm. At Valley, productivity isn't an option, it's everything. Visit your local Valley dealer or valleyirrigation.com today.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. Find yours with Ford F-150. Gas, hybrid, or all electric. Whether it's towing, powering up, or getting from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, what you choose to do with that much power is up to you. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Get 1.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a brand new 2023 F-150 only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks, foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
Sarpy County, where great food, drink, shopping, concerts, and fun await you. Stay, play, and plan your getaway at GoSarpy.com. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and we have found him. Interim President Chris Kabourek joining us here live in studio. You've been crazy busy. You haven't been in a while, and I feel like we've been trying to get you in, but you've been everywhere. You've been all over the place.
Well, it's all good, Jessica. I mean, it's crazy, but between campus commencement and Big Ten meetings last week and Big Ten baseball with family life, it's been a little hectic, but it's all good.
Well, speaking of Big Ten baseball, you were there, right? How exciting was that? The atmosphere just seemed unbelievable, and for them to go on the run that they went through for Will Bolt and company, it had to be pretty special to get to witness.
I mean, I was just super proud of Coach Bolt and the team. I mean, I know it's not equivalent, but I've coached travel baseball, and to win 5 games in a row with just really, really difficult, but just proves, I think, the depth that we have in the pitching staff. So kudos to Coach Childress. I was in college when Coach Van Horn and Coach Childress kind of brought Nebraska baseball back, so it's great to have him back. But just tremendous competitiveness. Good baseball, clean baseball. Really proud of the guys, and it was a lot of fun to be there on Sunday. Credit the Husker Nation coming out, 13,000 strong, 10 a.m. It was a lot of fun, and really proud of the guys.
Certainly, I don't want to forget to mention Rhonda Revelle and Husker softball. She's been putting in some work in the transfer portal. Women's College World Series just started today. She's putting together a squad that we might be talking about Oklahoma City in a year.
Again, can't equate, my travel baseball coaching experience, but I've never seen a run of injuries like Coach Revelle and the team had to deal with. And to still be as competitive as they were with that many starters out of the lineup just, I think, proves what kind of coach she is. She's the GOAT. She's a legend. And it was still fun to watch them. And I'm personally so excited to see what they do next season when they get some of these kids back, and with the signings that they announced this week. I'm a big baseball, softball guy, and I can't wait till next season to see what they do on the field.
We haven't had you on either, I don't think, since track and field won a Big Ten title. And Justin St. Clair, they've got 19 student athletes that are going to be competing at the NCAA championships. They're just bringing back all kinds of hardware back to Lincoln.
I mean, and again, just, not just a one and done. I mean, this is a consecutive years of success, and so proud of the track and field team. They had a great season. They've done it for a long time, and I mean, just overall, what an incredible. I mean, I was talking to some of our athletic staff, and just the entire season, starting in the fall with football. I think we're all feeling good about the momentum, but volleyball, obviously, and women's soccer, carried on to the winter sports, and what men's and women's basketball and wrestling, and now in the spring with track and field, softball. I mean, what a great year we had in Husker athletics, and kudos to all our coaches, to all our student athletes, all the staff, for all the time and effort they did. It's good to see them get rewarded.
Speaking of volleyball, I had some big news yesterday as new contract for Coach Cook. He's going to be able to get a pretty special new horse out of the deal. Any updates you can add to that?
The first time I've seen a contract where we're, looking to buy a horse out of that. So kudos to Coach Cook. Coach Cook is a legend in the sport, and, we're just glad that he wants to be a Husker for as long as he wants to be here, a long time, and glad we got that deal done. Kudos to Troy, Dannon, and Coach Cook coming to agreement, but well deserved. Coach Cook can't, again, another season. I just can't wait to see what those young women do next season. Really fired up for them. But congratulations, Coach Cook. We want to be a Husker for a long time, and glad we got that done.
We had him on last night, and he just kept going back to, I think one of the reasons why he wanted to make sure and have the horse in the contract was to be able to mention the folks that he met out in eastern Nebraska and the folks all across the state. You're from Nebraska, and you've talked a lot about your pride of the state. It's going to mean a lot to you that's important to him to want to recognize people across this great state.
I mean, it really is. I mean, I think if I remember, Coach Cook's from California, native, and for him to really become a Nebraskan, I mean, he's like, and I gotta, when Troy told me they got the deal done and about the horse, and I'm like, this is Nebraskan. Nebraskans are gonna really embrace this. He's not just looking for money; he wants to go buy 415, but just love the passion and the energy that Coach Cook has for Nebraskan, and like I said, we're just really super excited that he's our coach.
We recently wrapped up commencement all across the state of Nebraska, and it was a record-breaking day for the athletic department here and the amount of graduates, but always a special time, right? I know it was a special day for you. Why is this time so important for you personally?
Well, anybody that's in education, I don't really care if it's K through 12 or higher education. I mean, our why is to help young people develop and chase whatever their aspirations is, but to help them achieve their goals and their dreams. And so commencement is like the closing of one of those chapters. I mean, it was so great to see all, nearly 4,000 newly minted Husker alums in Memorial Stadium. The weather was beautiful, which is always something you worry a little bit about having an outdoor commencement ceremony. But I gave some remarks, and kind of like I said in my, college is not just about getting that piece of paper and all those skills. It's also about going through the ups and downs that you experience over those 4 years or 5 years or whatever long it takes you. But that's life. I mean, hopefully we are training our students not only to be good at journalism or math or science or whatever field they go into, but hopefully they're developing those life skills that helps them overcome obstacles, is humble through their achievements, and makes them a better person, a better human. And so it was an exciting day. It's always great to see them, the smiling face across the stage, the pictures with their families, and that's kind of our why. And so super, super proud of all of them, and it was a fun day.
So Teacher Appreciation Week was a few weeks ago. You've been spending a lot of time across the state visiting high schools, and we all have a teacher that impacted our lives. I can go Mrs. Clark, my high school English teacher, but what are you learning from your time spent visiting these teachers and staffs across the state of Nebraska?
You go into these schools, and what's so incredibly gratifying, and I think I knew this, but going in and see it, is just the passion the teachers have for their students and helping them, kind of what I said, our why, and getting them helping young people achieve their dreams. And we've been to so many good school systems, rural, urban, small, large, public, private. It doesn't really matter where you go. They're just great teachers, and so just a big thank you to all the teachers out there that are listening, coaches, because they don't get the recognition and the time that they put into these kids' efforts, and they're really serving the call of helping educate the next generation of hopefully Nebraskans, but every school visit we go to, I feel even more better about the future of our state and our young people. So a big thank you to all the teachers out there listening.
And I understand you have a story that ties specifically into that right there.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, we always think about people that had a big influence on our life, and I can name teachers, coaches that influenced us. And so, but we're really proud of, our Presidential Scholars Program. There's a young lady that's from Lincoln Southeast who's scored a perfect 36, and she wants to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And most scholarships are targeted toward science or engineering and STEM, and there's not a lot of full ride for teachers. So what a great way to recognize her and let her achieve her dream, and like I said, answer that call of serving. So it was really special to have that connection with Lilius at Lincoln Southeast, who's going to be on campus this fall. And but that goes to all our students. You don't have to be a perfect 36 ACT. I think I've told that lots of times. We're really excited to support all of our students and looking forward to them, and particularly those that want to be teachers. And there's a special program. I know we're talking on the Husker Network, but a special program out at Kearney, where they have a partnership with the Kearney Public Schools, where I got to go to a signing ceremony where 8 to 10 young people are going to become teachers and already have a job in the Kearney Public School system. And so those kind of partnerships are really special, and universities really honored to be have some role in those partnerships.
President Chris Kabourek, appreciate your time. We'll look forward to it. You're back again next week, so we'll have some more updates from you next week.
Hopefully we'll be talking about a bunch of wins.
Yes. Keep bringing those back. All right, we've got to step aside. We'll be back to wrap up our number one coming up right after this. If problem gambling is burning up your money, there is a way out. Help is free and confidential for Nebraskans and their families. There's no judgment, just help. Visit lifeafterbet.com.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to CleanOrigin.com. Founded by a leading family in the diamond industry for more than a century, we're experts in lab-grown diamonds because that's all we do. Clean Origin, the only diamond jewelers who give you a 100-day, no questions asked return on your purchase. Head to CleanOrigin.com or one of our retail stores and mention code Radio10 for 10% off your purchase. That's CleanOrigin.com, code Radio10.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. Find yours with Ford F-150. Gas, hybrid, or all electric. Whether it's towing, powering up, or getting from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, what you choose to do with that much power is up to you. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Get 1.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a brand new 2023 F-150 only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
Hi, this is Husker National Champion and Super Bowl champ Tony Veland. Throughout my football career, chiropractic care helped my athletic performance on the field and kept me in the game. Today, regular chiropractic care keeps me healthy and active to do the things I love. Chiropractic is safe and effective for all ages. Make chiropractic your first choice to reduce pain, improve your mobility, and feel better naturally. It works for me, and it can work for you too. Learn more at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Stay active with chiropractic.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails. Dress up for a night out on the town or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the Trail-Tamin 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Husker fans, check out the all-new Hy-Vee Perks program. Sign up for the totally free Hy-Vee Perks program and enjoy exclusive perks pricing on hundreds of items in-store and online. Score big savings today at Hy-Vee.com/perks. Hy-Vee is an official grocery partner of Husker Athletics and is your one-stop shop for making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Visit your local Hy-Vee today. Back with a couple minutes left here of hour number one of Sports Nightly. Cole, we haven't had a chance to chat with you about your thoughts. You've been really close to this baseball program. You've been producing their broadcasts all year long. But what are your thoughts on the matchup in Stillwater and that regional?
So at first glance, I really like the matchup. And then I think Ben's going to get into this a little bit too.
Yes.
OK State's going to just, they're a good baseball team. It'll be a tough game, but it's a winnable game for Nebraska. Florida, I think they're just one game above 500 on their record, but that's, they were in the national title game last year against LSU, and they are, they have one of the hardest strength of schedules in the country.
Yep.
And so I feel optimistic, but to not take Florida lightly. They're a good team.
We are inside our Huskers Radio Network broadcast center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. What was it like for you to be back here behind the booth and hearing Greg and Ben call that Big Ten title?
It was wonderful. I think Camden, who's with me right now, was with me. And when Gabe Swanson hit that RBI double to go ahead in the ninth and then have Brett Sears close it out, it was a lot of smiles around here.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to dive much more into this matchup and the regional and the weekend coming up for Husker baseball coming up here in hour number two with Ben McLaughlin. He'll be on the call this weekend. And we're also going to hear from Garrett Kailey, the fastest 200-meter sprinter in Nebraska program history. They are headed off to the NCAA championships next week, so we're going to dive into all of that. And how about Cole's joke of the week is back as well. So all of that and more coming up here in hour number two. It's already been a fun show, but come on back for hour number two. Sarpy County, where great food, drink, shopping, concerts, and fun await you. Stay, play, and plan your getaway at GoSarpy.com. Hour number two of Sports Nightly just ahead.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Get ready to rule the field and revolutionize your farming game with Valley, the game changer in irrigation and ag tech solutions. With time and labor-saving measures, ground-truthing results, and effective input reduction, Valley provides the perfect game plan so you stay ahead of what's in the field. From the best in irrigation and cutting-edge ag tech solutions to personalized support, Valley is your winning team. Visit your local Valley dealer or valleyirrigation.com today.
Woodhouse Nissan is an easy choice when shopping for your next vehicle. Right now, lease the 2024 Nissan Rogue SV for $296 per month for 36 months. Serving the Metro for over 20 years. This is Woodhouse Nissan. Lease for 36 months, 5,000 miles per year. With approved credit, tax, title, license extra. $3,299 down plus first payment and $299 doc fee due at signing. Discounted price based on sale price of $32,433. VIN number RW430564. Offer expires May 31st, 2024. See dealer for details.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks. Foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
Get ready again for some Nebraska farm facts. When there's work to be done, Nebraska soybeans are on the job in many of your everyday products. In fact, Nebraska soybeans are hard at work in Goodyear tires, Ford cars and trucks, Skechers shoes, asphalt, fuels, lubricants, name brand paints and stains, and more. Soybeans are an innovative replacement for petroleum, leading to more sustainable products all over the world. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Good evening, I'm Camden Cohn, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the 1890 Initiative. Earlier today, the Nebraska women's gymnastics team announced an additional transfer. Reese Bockley is the second transfer from Lindenwood to join the squad. Head coach Heather Brink had this to say about Bockley, quote, "We are pleased to welcome Reese to Lincoln. I know she's excited to be a part of the program and get to work. She was an integral part of Lindenwood's depth on multiple events. I look forward to seeing her continued growth and can't wait to see her shine under the lights of Devaney," end quote. In other Husker news, earlier today, it was announced that Nebraska Volleyball will play Kentucky in the ABCA First Serve Showcase. The game will be played in Louisville, Kentucky at the KFC Yum Center, the site for this year's Final Four. The other game in the showcase is Wisconsin against Louisville. Finally, there is one NBA playoff game tonight in the Western Conference Finals. The Timberwolves host the Mavericks at 7:30. The Mavs lead the series 3-1 and can close it out tonight in Minneapolis. Our sports ticker is sponsored by the 1890 Initiative. Do you want to support Husker student athletes through name, image, and likeness? If so, visit 1890nebraska.com. Hour 2 of Sports Nightly is up next, right here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who remind you to buckle up and put the phone down.
And they 1-0. Swung on, hit pretty well towards the left field, and it's going to sail out of here onto the concourse behind 126. Josh carrying it with a 3-run bomb, and it's 3-1 Huskers.
Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Breaking ball ripped to left center field. That's going to be a gapper. That's going to score the run, and the Huskers have taken a 2-1 lead. Gabe Swanson with an RBI double. It's now Nebraska 2, Penn State 1 in the top of the ninth. Brett ready to deliver the first pitch. Breaking ball, that's looped in left field. Gabe Swanson is there. He squeezes it, and your Huskers are Big Ten champions. After losing game 1 Tuesday night, they come back and win 5 straight and capture the Big Ten tournament for the first time since joining the league. And the dog pile is ongoing in front of the plate.
Here is your host, Jessica Coody, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Sports Nightly on this Thursday evening. We're inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Well, we have Camden sitting here. If you listened to the show last night, we were talking about the Cornhusker State games, and they've got a plethora of awesome sports that you can participate in, and any level. We heard that last night. You can sign up, and I believe it's the first, maybe July 1st or something, pretty close to that first week of July, that you can still sign up for and go participate. There's lots of options, but we were talking with Greg last night, and he basically, kind of said Camden would not be able to compete in any of them. And then you texted in, Camden, you're like, hey, so I wanted to give you a chance to defend yourself after Greg doubted your athletic prowess.
Yeah, I was just in the car headed back from my brother's baseball game, and I was getting some slack just in the car. I was like, I'm not even here. Yeah, I'm looking at the list of sports, and there's a lot of stuff I feel like I could do. Disc golf. That's a fun one usually. I'd give sailing a go. I've never sailed, but we could try that.
You and Cole were all about doing the road race last year before it got weathered out. I feel like you guys should try to do speed walking together.
That might be a good bet.
But you guys might look into it. Might go to play some pickleball or something, maybe some cornhole.
Yeah, pickleball, cornball could be fun. Mini golf. I heard mini golf last night.
Yeah.
Could be a good one.
So you're saying there's so many that you can't even list them all that you could compete in?
Oh, there's probably 10, 15 different ones I could do.
Well, I will say there is one thing that you would not be better at our next guest at, and that's running the 200 meters. That's safe to say?
I would not. I would not beat him.
Well, Garrett Kailey is one of 19 student athletes for Nebraska track and field that's headed to the NCAA championships. He runs the 200 meter. In fact, he's the fastest 200 meter sprinter in program history. He continues, seems like he gets faster every time he's out on the track. But sophomore out of San Antonio, Texas, I had a chance to chat with him earlier before they head out to the NCAA championships. How did you get into track and field in the first place?
So when I was like 4 years old, my mom put me in track, because I was hyper, to make me go to sleep. And so that's when we was like, oh, it's pretty fast. We'll keep him in track.
That's awesome. So when did you think, man, I'm faster than a lot of people and I could maybe do something special with this sport?
I would say maybe around like 6th or 5th grade. I was like, man, I think I want to keep doing this. This is pretty fun. And so that's when I was like, yeah, this is my goal, to be able to like run track as like a pro.
That's cool. So how, we've had Brenton on, Coach E on before, and there's a lot of talent for track and field in Texas. And we've seen a lot of really talented athletes come from Texas. And we talk about the high school football, but track and field, it's a hotbed for track and field in Texas, isn't it?
Yes, it's definitely one of like the two biggest states for track and field. Is like Texas and Florida. But Texas, man, it's pretty insane. It's shocking the times you'll see there.
He was saying, too, that if you go compete and do well at their state high school meets, you could probably go compete in college.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah.
Usually, most of the Texas state champions, they carry that momentum into college. There's only like a few in which don't.
Yeah. So you get here, you're just a sophomore, and, when Coach E is talking to you about what they hope for you and all of that, what was your goal coming in to maybe immediately start helping this team out in the sprint specifically?
So initially my goal was to get the 4x1, 4x4, and at least another individual to NCAA score points at Big Tens. And then also for my personal goals to break the 100, 200, 400, 4x1, and 4x4 records. And so I knew that with excluding the individuals, I wasn't able to do it by myself. And so I need to also be able to inspire other people to help me and in turn also help them.
So you ended up doing that. You've broken the school record, which is your own, but you've broken your own record multiple times this season. What's gone into your season this year and you being able to continue to get faster and faster, it seems like every time you step out on the track?
So the main thing is being able to stay healthy and also being able to work on like the weakest part of my race, which is my start. So me and Coach E have been focusing on the start since I got here. And I say before college, it was something. But when I got here, we hammered it in. And so each race, it would get a bit better and better. And then, I'm a closer. I like to finish. And so being able to have a good start, at least something that can just get me out the blocks, I'll be able to close and finish good. And so the better the start is, the better my finish will be, the faster the time will be.
Do you feel like, when you're having a run like that, when you're having a race like that, wow, okay, this is going to be a good time. Can you feel it in the moment, or do you not know until you cross the line?
I don't know until I cross the line. Usually when I run, it always feels like the same speed. Oh, actually, hold on. No, the start. If the start feels bad, I'm probably thinking it's going to be a bad time. But usually it seems to be a faster time because I'll be closing in a bit faster because I know that I need to make up the ground that I lost.
So you talked about how you caught the attention running the 400, and that was your specialty in high school. What has it been about the 200 that you've settled into that you really like that event?
So the 400, I get extremely nervous before the 400. And then also, me personally, I never know how my body's going to react to running the 400. I don't know if I have good endurance this time. I don't know if the endurance will be a little bit lackluster. And so the 400 is always just mental for me. Whereas in the 200, I know what I need to do. I just need to get out and run as fast as I can. And then also, I think it's like the perfect distance, not too fast and not too short.
So how does it sound to you then when you say, I said it at the beginning, you're the fastest 200-meter runner in school and program history. I mean, it was a goal you set out to do when you got here. You're just a sophomore. You've already done that. But what does that mean to you to be at the top of the record books already?
Man, it means a lot. That was, as you said, that was mainly my goal. And I'm pretty happy. I'm grateful for Coach E and my mom and God for allowing me to be able to have this much, I'll say, proficiency in the 200.
Take us through, you talk about Coach E and his recruiting, but what is it about him and how he coaches that he gets the most out of his athletes and you in particular?
So one thing I noticed with other universities is that they kind of do like a collective training. Like they give everyone the same advice, they tell everyone the same things. Coach E, he gets down into the specifics for each person. Like for starts, he's going to look at each person's start. He's going to tell you what you need to do specifically. And he's also going to try and work with you as well for every single person. No matter if like you're extremely fast or, you're still trying to get to that speed, he's going to put the exact same effort he does for each single person. And that's just something you really don't see. Some other universities would then also try and focus on their best athletes. Mm-hmm. Like, I would say like, maybe like the higher end ones, like the ones in which will win multiple NCAA championships. They're definitely focused on like their own personal, like big athletes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I understand, but if you want to be a better coach, you need to be able to, diversify both fast, both those trying to get there. Some who are also, partially injured. Some that are coming back from, things like surgery, be able to focus on every single person and be able to, broaden, like, your skill in trying to work with each different person because each person is different. Like, for me, I need to see how it feels whenever I run. Some other people, they need to see how it looks.
Yeah.
And so it's just being able to accommodate each athlete, which is just, it makes you a better coach in general, and which is why I think he's also one of the best coaches I've ever had. Actually, no, the best coach I've ever had.
That's awesome. I love that. So you, circling back and got a big opportunity ahead of you. How are you approaching it? I know you're saying it's your, any other meet for you, but is there still some stuff left in the tank for you to maybe even go even faster? What are your goals for yourself?
So the first goal is to make it to the finals. And then my second goal is to be able to go sub 20. If I run 19, that will definitely cross off one of my major goals in track and field. And so this is a meet in which you're going to have the fastest of the fast. And so this is definitely the best place in order to lower your times, your best place to have, different, I would say sponsorships like Nike or Adidas be looking at you. This is, even though I see as another meet, this is also where all the chips fall. This is where everything big happens. And so even though, nothing's changing, I do keep it in mind that this is something that is very important, a little bit more important than just your everyday meet.
How excited are you for the opportunity?
I'm extremely excited. I never really got to run at major meets. The only major meet I ran at is the Outdoor Nationals. As all other times I was injured. Oh wait, no, the U20s. But excluding those two, all other times I was injured and couldn't make it to the finals or even go to the meet. And so being at NCAAs is, man, it's insane.
And there's a group of you guys. How helpful is that to know, you talk about competing with the team and it's bigger than just yourself. Does that help fuel you knowing that you got several teammates that are also going to be wearing Nebraska out there in Oregon?
It feels very good. You know that each person has also put in the work and that each and every one of them is going to be cheering you on as well, just as you are cheering on them. And it makes you feel like you're not alone, essentially. Like, sometimes at the big meets in high school, it's like, oh, it's just me, or, man, I'm the only one who's going to be at this level here. But seeing other people is, it just gives you, like, a nice feeling. And, even if you don't do as well, they're going to be there. Hey, good job. Good job. You'll be back next year. It's a good feeling if you win, even if you lose. they're still there for you no matter what. It's not just you.
What a treat it was to chat with him. We got more track and field content coming up here as they head to the NCAA championships, and they got some athletes that really have a good shot to bring home some hardware. And of course, there's two defending national champions, and Rima Oteba, who we heard from last night, and Axeline Johansson, who will go try to defend their titles. But lots of athletes that have potential to do some big things. And it all gets started June 5th through the 9th. And actually, Garrett here, who was going to be running the 200 meters, he is on the first day, June 5th. So they're streaming all that, I know, on ESPN Plus, and you can follow along on the Husker Track and Field social media channels. But should be a fun week ahead for them. So appreciate Garrett for spending some time with us here on Sports Nightly. Husker fans, check out the all-new Hy-Vee Perks program. Sign up for the totally free Hy-Vee Perks program and enjoy exclusive perks pricing on hundreds of items in-store and online. Score big savings today at Hy-Vee.com/perks. Hy-Vee is an official grocery partner of Husker Athletics and is your one-stop shop for making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Visit your local Hy-Vee today. All right, coming up next, we're going to dive into the Stillwater Regional and what's up next for Husker baseball with Ben McLaughlin. Ben McLaughlin, keep it here.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails. Dress up for a night out on the town or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the trail-taming 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
It's time for some Nebraska farm facts. Want to know a fast way to rev up our Nebraska economy while helping the planet? It's right in your tank. When you fill up with clean soy-based biodiesel, you're increasing Nebraska biodiesel production while reducing greenhouse gases by up to 74%. So look for biodiesel where you fill up. It benefits our air, our economy, and our farmers. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Husker fans, springtime in Sarpy County means sports and outdoor activities. Catch an Omaha Storm Chasers baseball game or a Union Omaha Pro soccer match at Werner Park. Visit Fontenelle Forest, where you can enjoy tree rush adventures or hike and bike on one of the many trails. Play a round of golf or experience great fishing. Relax, refresh, and rediscover yourself with a springtime trip. Plan your adventure at GoSarpy.com.
Noddle Companies is proud to support Husker Athletics. As a leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Sunnyside Exarban, and row house townhomes on Leavenworth. Noddle Companies is adding Omaha's first hybrid timber building to the skyline. Soon to follow is Builders Green Park, surrounded by mouth-watering food, exciting retail, and a hub of thriving businesses. Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Go Huskers!
Did I forget something?
No, just wanted to tell you I love you. Oh, don't forget to buckle up. Drive safe.
I will. Love you too.
Someone is counting on you to buckle up.
Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails. Dress up for a night out on the town, or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the Trail-Tamin 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres, solutions for every field. Well, finally tomorrow, 2 o'clock, Nebraska baseball is set to begin regional action down in Stillwater. And to get us set for all of that, the guy that will be on the call for us, Ben McLaughlin. Thanks for being here and spending some time with us. Before we dive into this regional, have you recuperated from just a magical run in the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, the simple answer is I have. And I think it's because of how quickly we had to turn the page to regionals,
Yeah.
you know. That selection Monday is always special for those that love college baseball, and the same thing for college basketball. You know, when those pairings come down, you never quite know where you're going to go. You're never quite sure who you're going to match up with, who are those bubble teams that are in and out. We did know the 16 regional site hosts the day before, so we had at least a decent idea of where Nebraska was going to get put, you know, pick 5 or 6 places that they were going to go. But it was hard. It was hard to turn that page. You know, it still felt like a dream Sunday night, and then, you know, waking up the next day and reliving all the highlights and the, you know, social media posts and all that, and then seeing, you know, obviously all the build up to the selection show on Monday. It was it's hard to even explain what type of run we just witnessed in Omaha, and you just hope the boys can continue that momentum this week.
So after the loss, a pretty bad loss on Tuesday, just, you know, win after win and the run that they went on, you know, to call that, to watch it, to take it all in, what was your perspective on how they were able to put it all together?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty sickening feeling living the park on Tuesday because, you know, just like every sport, you want to be playing your best at the end of the year. And it was clear that Nebraska had a little momentum going to that tournament, and you felt like it was all kind of salted away with not only a loss, but they got their butts handed to them by Ohio State. You know, to get run ruled as by the 7th seed, it wasn't a good feeling. And all you got to do is look at the social media post reactions to understand how fans were feeling, and rightfully so. And then you had to bounce back and take on a good Purdue team who, like Nebraska, had a chance to win the regular season going into the last week, and they flopped against Illinois. I think a lot of us kind of thought Purdue was a little bit of a farce, a little bit of a pretender, I would say, you know, for a lot of the year, and turned out to be the case, 0-2 in Omaha. But to have to come back and beat them, a good team, and then knowing what was ahead with Indiana, it just seemed like such a steep mountain to climb. You know, you felt good that you didn't go 0-2 in the tournament. You felt really good about getting your name called on Monday, but you know, Coach Bolt said it best. It's like we told the team, you guys can go back to Lincoln and practice, or you can stay here in Omaha and play games. And I mean, they really put it together on the strength of some great starts. Will Walsh was absolutely phenomenal. And then to get what you got out of Drew Christo in game 2, to take 2 from Indiana on the same day, like, that is so incredibly difficult to do against that team in particular, the way that they're built. And the way Nebraska's pitching staff just manhandled them in the doubleheader was nothing short of amazing. And then, of course, we all know how it finished on Sunday. But just game after game, you could just see the confidence build. And, you know, like Coach Childress said, if there was any team built to withstand and go through a run like that, it was the Huskers. And that's what happened.
Greg and I were joking after the loss, you know, knowing that the Huskers had done enough to probably secure themselves in the postseason. Hey, let's not use the arms. Let's, you know, preserve some stuff for next week. But, man, they didn't even have to really use many arms. And they came out of there, even after that run, feeling pretty good about where their pitching staff was.
It's a really good point because what Nebraska did with their staff was incredible. I mean, and it's all because of what the starting pitchers were able to do, right? Sears came out and dominated as you expect he would. To get what you got out of Walsh, to get what you got out of Cristo, and then obviously Brockett throwing 8 innings in the championship game. It was unlike anything I'd really ever seen, 3 guys threw more than once in a weekend, and it was a relief start situation with, Cristo starting, relieving, Sears starting, relieving. Just really insane. And guys like Evan Borst didn't even throw. I mean, you have one of your most high-leverage relief guys, didn't even throw a pitch in 6 games in the tournament. It's asinine to think about how they made it through there, but you just have to give a ton of credit to those guys that started games and were able to eat that many innings because, that's why we felt so good going into Sunday is if Nebraska were to get to Linsman, which they didn't do, everything lined up for the Huskers to stack it up from the 5th inning on and finish that thing out, but they didn't need to with what Brockett was able to give them.
So for you to be able to call that Big Ten title, something this program's ever done, win a Big Ten tournament title, alongside Greg Sharpe, the voice, how special was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to really put into words. I think to me, obviously I love to win. I'm a competitor, and I bleed red like the Huskers, so that side of me was jacked up to win, but it was hard to get too fired up without the emotion part of you taking over because of what it meant to not only you to see it for Greg, but to know what it meant to Greg. Greg loves baseball, and he loves the Huskers, and this is the one thing he hasn't gotten to do is call a tournament championship. We've won the league before. He's gotten to call a couple of those, but we just haven't won this tournament yet. And to see him, fight through and get through that broadcast, and he held it together a lot better than I did, honestly. It was a day that I'll remember for the rest of my life, no matter what happens this weekend. That was a day that I'll never forget, and I'm just so incredibly happy for him that he got to do it because it just means so much to him. And as we all expect, he nailed the last out like we all knew he would.
Well, just like the coaching staff, I know you've had to close the chapter really quickly and get prepared for this weekend. When you saw the draw, what was your initial thought going down to Stillwater with Florida up first?
Yeah, I started to get a little worried. When some of those regionals were passing by, I was happy they didn't shove us in Lexington. That's Illinois' responsibility. I was really glad they didn't stick us back in A&M and have the whole Trev Alberts thing pop up again. And, obviously Coach Childress and Coach Bolt with their ties to the Aggies. I was glad we didn't have to hear that storyline. So I was happy with Stillwater, although this is the 3rd time in 10 years they've put us in this regional. I mean, we're very, very comfortable with that part of the country this time of year. Didn't love the fact that they put Florida in our bracket just because of, the talent they have on their roster. I know people see the 28-27 record and assume it's going to be an easy road. I assure you it's not going to be. That's the #1 strength of schedule in the country. They're the national championship series last year with LSU. Obviously, they're loaded with talent, and they'll have the #2 player in the country behind Charlie Condon with the Player of the Year voting and Jack Caglione on their team. So they're loaded with talent, but the way our guys are fighting and competing right now, the Gators are going to get our best shot. So overall, I'm happy. I'm happy with the draw. I'm happy Husker fans can drive down there. Let's hope the weather cooperates. But overall, I think the Huskers are going to go down there and hopefully make some noise.
Greg and I were discussing this on Sports Nightly just about, there's obviously a bias with the committee and those SEC ball bat teams, really with both baseball and softball, but is there anything that can change that? Is there anything that could maybe change that perception? Some teams that got left out probably should have been in. Maybe some teams that don't have a 500 record in their conference in the SEC got in. Is there anything that can change it?
I don't think there's anything that can change it. In fact, I think it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
With the amount of exposure that conference gets, and you and I have talked about this before in recent weeks, in college baseball, there's not the amount of televised games that there is in other sports. And so if you just are able to land one of those TV spots and get that exposure, and the committee gets eyes on you, and they can hear about Jack Caglione, how he's going to be the #2 player in the country this year, to hear about Kevin O'Sullivan and how many games that he's won as a head coach, whatever the statistic may be, to get that exposure is huge. And there's no conference in the country that gets more exposure than the SEC. And they're loaded with talent. There's no question about it. Those teams are really good. Those players are really good. Those pitchers are really good. But College of Charleston's pretty good too. That's a team we saw up close and personal, and I was hurting for them. That was a really good team that Nebraska played. I know the Huskers won all 3, but I left there going, that is the best team we've seen this year by far. And with what they had on the mound, with the offense that they had, for them to get 40 wins and to get left out, I thought was really unfortunate for the sport. You could see the reaction from the country with them getting left out, but overall, I thought the committee did a pretty poor job, if I'm being honest, with not only who got in, but the placement of some teams. I thought was tough, but it's an imperfect system. It will always be an imperfect system. People want to expand the tournament. I don't know what good that does, because then you're just going to be clamoring for the next set of bubble teams that get left out. But for my money, the SEC is always going to get the benefit of the doubt. And part of the reason, Jessica, is when you're getting 7, 8 regional host spots, the percentages of you winning a regional when you're hosting are through the roof.
Right.
And so when you're winning these regionals, you know, well, you see the SEC is really good. They have 8 teams in the Supers. Well, it helps when they're all playing at home.
Right,
so,
yeah.
There's a counterpoint to everything, but the decision makers I think are always going to lean to the way of the big dogs. And unfortunately for the College of Charlestons and the Lamars and, you know, some of those other teams that had really good years, I just unfortunately don't see it changing.
Well, so Florida was one of those teams, and they weren't even, I guess, on the bubble very much, but, you know, they certainly have the history and the talent there. But for this first matchup, probably going to be Brett Sears, you imagine, and in a hitter's ballpark, as we're hearing down there in Stillwater. What's going to be the key for Sears to attack this Florida lineup?
Yeah, it's going to be keeping the ball in the ballpark. I mean, they don't hit for a great average, but they're over 115 home runs as a team. Caglione has 30-plus of them on his own. It's going to be limiting the free. I mean, the thing that Florida can do is a single, a walk, and a home run, and there's 3 runs in the blink of an eye. If they're going to leave the ballpark, keep it to solo home runs, and that's going to be the huge key, not just for Nebraska against Florida, but for the other teams against Florida too, is to just try and keep the ball in the ballpark and, you know, make those home runs into doubles and make them swing their way into runs. So that's going to be big. Offensively, you just got to kind of keep that killer mentality in the box. I think Florida's staff is one that you can grind down. If you start to get in that bullpen, they have a couple of elite arms in the back, but if they have to bridge a gap, if one of their starters is held to a short leash, I think they're gettable. And so that's going to be the key is, you know, just like we saw in the Big Ten tournament, some of those arms, you got to build that pitch count up and hopefully knock those starters out early.
So hopefully with the win over Florida, advance to play Oklahoma State, more than likely we'll see the Cowboys at some point this weekend either way. But as you dive into your prep, what does Oklahoma State look like in terms of a matchup?
Yeah, I mean, they're a top 10 pitching staff in the country. I think they're pitching to just over a 4 ERA. They have some thump in their lineup too, and they're like Nebraska. They're hot right now. They won the Big 12 tournament in Arlington. They have their own Jack Caglione and Nolan Schubert, who has, you know, a lot of home runs this year, big, powerful offense. But they play a little more team-oriented baseball than I would say Florida does. But to anybody that knows Oklahoma State and Coach Holliday's bunch as well, they're physical in the lineup and they throw a lot of strikes. And they get a lot of strikeouts. So pitching and long balls are what we can expect from them. And those fans are just nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's going to be a rowdy atmosphere. Unlike what we had in Omaha with everybody wearing red, everyone's going to be wearing that ugly orange color.
I mean, is it a worse orange than burnt? Which orange is worse?
Let's just categorize them. Let's just lump them together and say they're all bad.
Is all bad. Well, Josh Caron, you know, obviously unbelievable performance, played out of his mind. How much of that can we expect going into the regionals? Can he keep playing at that level?
I don't know. I mean, I thought he was tapped going into Sunday, but he had one more for us Sunday. That was just insane. I mean, what he was doing this weekend, just single-handedly in game number 1 against Indiana, carrying the offense. What he's doing on the field is impressive, but the transformation that we've seen with him just as a person from where he was at as a freshman to where he's at now it's what makes the story even better, because you saw the struggles and the mental demons that he was fighting as a freshman and didn't feel like he belonged to college baseball and was homesick. And, you know, I think everybody, if they were betting men or women, said he doesn't make it back to Nebraska after his first year. But, you know, something happened in that summer where he got to go home and spend time with family and kind of recharge. And you started to see it a little bit as a sophomore with the start of the year that he had. And this year he's just been an absolute force for Nebraska all year. The amount of catching that he's doing, the level in which he's catching, the relationship he's built with our pitchers, and then obviously the offensive production. I've never seen anything like it. And so let's hope the ball's still jumping off his bat here this weekend.
I also, too, wanted to ask you about Coach Bolt and, you know, the job that he's done and continues to do. I mean, we were joking about some of the comments that were coming out after Tuesday's game, but then I think a lot of people were deleting some social media messages after that run. But just Man, he just continues to get the best out of this group, and the resiliency is that word we hear over and over again, but to get them to respond no matter what kind of adversity they face really throughout this entire season.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many areas that you can point to with the job that Coach Bolt's done this year. You know, whether you're a development guy, we hear that all the time in football, you know, how are you developing players? I think, you know, you look up and down Nebraska's senior class right now, and I think almost to a man, they've maxed out the physical talent of about every guy on that roster. You know, the development they're doing with Spencer Schwellenbach, you know, what they're able to do with him, getting him ready for the next level. We already saw it with Max and Bryce last year. You know, that's always been there. And then the culture that he's building, right, the resiliency that you talk about, a word that he and I talk about all the time is the toughness. You know, the whole goal is everybody's got talent. The tough teams are the ones that win. And you don't go through a tournament run like Nebraska does if you're not tough and mentally tough. And to have to go through, you know, allowing a 7-run top of the ninth against Indiana and coming back and win the next 2 games, to lose the way that you did against South Dakota State and answer back the way that they did, that takes a tough team to be able to do that, to be able to pull themselves out from the mat. And you know, that's all coming down from the coaches. You know, he always says the best teams are player-led. The captains feed it from the coaches and permeates down to the rest of the roster. So it's been exceptional, the job that he has done. I think just to see the way these first-year coaches kind of organize with each other, Mike Sirianni, and we all know Rob Childress isn't a first-year head coach, but first-year pitching coach, the way they've all kind of blended together and just bound together has been really special to watch. And they have a lot of fun together. They joke around a lot. They're really tight, the coaches are, and to see that the way the seasons come together behind them has been really special.
All right, you've covered this baseball team, followed this baseball team a really long time. Going into this postseason, this regional, how do you feel about this team, how it comes together, the makeup of it, the hot streak that they're on right now, how they could maybe potentially, what kind of run they could potentially go on here in the postseason? I feel as good about this team as I did the 14 team that was coincidentally down in Stillwater. That was a lot tougher regional, I would say, with just the caliber. They had a really, really good Fullerton team in that regional, and that Oklahoma State team was loaded that year. But, you know, the way that staff was built with Christian De Leon and Chance Sinclair and Aaron Bummer, you know, all the big leaguers that were on that roster, you know, the talent with Pat Kelly and Ryan Bold and Austin Darby and Michael Pritchard, that team was loaded with talent, and you felt really good going down there. And they battled their butts off. They lost 2 really close games to Fullerton to get knocked out. I think it was a grand slam by former New York Met J.D. Davis that knocked them into the losers bracket, and they lost a really tough pitchers duel in the elimination game that year. But you know, I think this team's built just pretty similar to that team, and the depth they have on the mound, if they could string together things offensively and they're executing the box, they have just as good a shot as anybody to win this regional. All right. Well, appreciate your time. Have a great call, and we'll look forward to hearing you and David down there all weekend long right here on the Huskers Radio Network. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And that is Ben McLaughlin with us here on Sports Nightly. Woodhouse Auto Family is your trusted auto partner with 20 brands and 20 convenient sales and service locations. We're making car buying on your terms. Visit us online at woodhouse.com.
Getting ready to take on spring? Make your first move with the reliable performance and power of Steel battery tools. From hedge trimmers and mowers to string trimmers and more, save on select Steel battery tools. Right now, save $50 on the RMA 460V lawnmower battery set. Real Steel. Find yours at steeldealers.com. With AK30 battery and AL101 charger. Offer valid for a limited time only while supplies last. See participating dealer for details.
It's time for another round of Nebraska Farm Facts. If there's one thing Nebraska's known for, it's our beef. And Nebraska soybeans feed a lot of them, and even more pigs and chickens. Farmers and ranchers raise livestock and poultry to provide nutritious, affordable protein for all ages to help build muscle and maintain energy for a healthy lifestyle. Keep that in mind as you prepare all that tasty meat on your tailgate grill. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates may apply and may vary by carrier.
when you're clocking out and happy hour's already started. But you're clocking out and happy hour's already started. The choice to enjoy is easy. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Pick up Bud Light at your local convenience store today. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Husker fans, springtime in Sarpy County means sports and outdoor activities. Catch an Omaha Storm Chasers baseball game or a Union Omaha Pro soccer match at Werner Park. Visit Fontenelle Forest, where you can enjoy tree rush adventures or hike and bike on one of the many trails. Play a round of golf or experience great fishing. Relax, refresh, and rediscover yourself with a springtime trip. Plan your adventure at GoSarpy.com.
Noddle Companies is proud to support Husker athletics. As a leader in commercial real estate, we create thriving communities. Discover what's new in the Builders District in North Downtown, Sunnyside-Exarban, and row house townhomes on Leavenworth. Noddle Companies is adding Omaha's first hybrid timber building to the skyline. Soon to follow is Builders Green Park, surrounded by mouth-watering food, exciting retail, and a hub of thriving businesses. Noddle Companies, building a better Nebraska. For more information, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Go Huskers!
A few drinks at home after work, a couple of hits at a party with some friends, over-the-counter drugs for a minor illness, a new daily prescription, and you're not quite sure how it makes you feel. It doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If it impairs you, driving becomes deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers, you ready for some SUV action? Toyota SUVs can roll their sleeves up for tight turns and twisty trails, dress up for a night out on the town, or head to the great outdoors. Take your family adventure game to a whole new level with the roomy Highlander. Make a serious splash with the rugged, revved-up RAV4. And tow all your toys in the spacious new Sequoia. Don't forget the trail-taming 4Runner and the sleek Venza Hybrid. All Toyota SUVs feature a whole suite of creature comforts to keep you and yours cozy in the cabin. Check out this legendary lineup at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
See your Omaha Metro and Lincoln Toyota dealers. Corwin Toyota of Bellevue, Village Point Toyota of Omaha, Baxter Toyota of La Vista, or Baxter Toyota of Lincoln.
Hi, this is Husker National Champion and Super Bowl champ Tony Veland. Throughout my football career, chiropractic care helped my athletic performance on the field and kept me in the game. Today, regular chiropractic care keeps me healthy and active to do the things I love. Chiropractic is safe and effective for all ages. Make chiropractic your first choice to reduce pain, improve your mobility, and feel better naturally. It works for me, and it can work for you too. Learn more at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Stay active with chiropractic.
Husker fans, check out the all-new Hy-Vee Perks program. Sign up for the totally free Hy-Vee Perks program and enjoy exclusive perks pricing on hundreds of items in-store and online. Score big savings today at Hy-Vee.com/perks. Hy-Vee is an official grocery partner of Husker Athletics and is your one-stop shop for making your life easier, healthier, and happier. Visit your local Hy-Vee today. Welcome back to Sports Nightly. Appreciate Ben stopping by, giving us that preview. Cannot wait for that action to get started down in Stillwater. Camden had this in the ticker, but a couple of pretty big announcements with Husker Volleyball today that they will play in the AVCA First Serve Showcase to open up the season, and it's hosted in Louisville, and the Huskers will play Kentucky on August 27th. Then Louisville Volleyball also announcing that they will play their game against Nebraska on September 21st or 22nd, also inside the KFC Yum Center in Louisville. This is big because that's where the Final Four is going to be played in December. So it gives the Huskers a chance to get a feel for that arena. Hopefully, if they make another run back to the Final Four, they'll be familiar with that arena. I've been there when the Husker women's basketball team went was it 2022 in the NCAA tournament. They lost to Gonzaga in the first round, but it's a cool area, so that'll be awesome for the team to get an experience there. And Louisville's going to have lots of opportunities. They announced that they have 6 matches that they're going to play at the KFC Yum Center instead of their smaller gym. On that note, too, we heard Coach Cook when he was on the show talking about maybe something in the works, what's next, following up the stadium match, maybe in 2025, so maybe something big there. But you just love to see it. You know, we saw all throughout the volleyball season last year that some of the smaller volleyball gyms weren't big enough to hold, especially for when Nebraska came to town, but just the overflowing of fans and how big it was, and all of the attendance records that were broken throughout the season. And certainly Louisville has a lot of support too. So the fact that they're going to be able to fill that arena with some big time volleyball matches there, and especially to kick off the season, and pretty cool that they also get a chance to get a fill for that arena. Sarpy County, where great food, drink, shopping, concerts, and fun await you. Stay, play, and plan your getaway at GoSarpy.com. All right, coming up next, we're going to work in our final break here, so we have plenty of time. Our final segment of the week is always scheduled for our favorite segment of the week, Cole's Joke of the Week. So get ready, 402-413-2400 if you want to rate. Give some feedback on Cole's Joke of the Week. That's coming up next, and that is our Woodhouse Auto Family Hotline. Woodhouse Auto Family is your trusted auto partner with 20 brands and 20 convenient sales and service locations. We're making car buying on your terms. Visit us online at woodhouse.com.
Farming today is a combination of hard work, innovation, and partnerships to help keep us moving forward. Sapp Brothers Petroleum has provided us with fuel, propane, and lubricants on the farm for many years.
For over 52 years, Sapp Brothers has been a reliable partner to thousands of farmers across our great state. We work hard to make sure our customers have the most reliable supply, provided in the safest manner and at the most competitive price. Trust Sapp Brothers Petroleum to protect your equipment and keep your farm fueled. Sapp Brothers is proud to be an official partner of Huskers Athletics and to serve Nebraska farmers and Husker fans across America's heartland.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to CleanOrigin.com. Founded by a leading family in the diamond industry for more than a century, we're experts in lab-grown diamonds because that's all we do. Clean Origin, the only diamond jewelers who give you a 100-day, no questions asked return on your purchase. Head to CleanOrigin.com or one of our retail stores and mention code Radio10 for 10% off your purchase. That's CleanOrigin.com, code Radio10.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting major Connor Clark with Campus News. For the 7th straight year, the University of Nebraska system is a top 100 patent-earning institution in the world. NU researchers were granted 46 patents in 2023, ranking the university at number 55 nationally, ahead of Big Ten schools like Michigan State and Penn State.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
If there's one thing we like, it's choices. Find yours with Ford F-150. Gas, hybrid, or all electric. Whether it's towing, powering up, or getting from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, what you choose to do with that much power is up to you. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Get 1.9% financing for 72 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on a brand new 2023 F-150 only at your Midwest Ford dealers.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks, foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
Woodhouse Auto Family is your trusted auto partner with 20 brands and 20 convenient sales and service locations. We're making car buying on your terms. Visit us online at woodhouse.com. Final segment here of this Thursday night edition of Sports Nightly. I'm Jessica Coody, and before we run out of time, I have to say happy birthday to my dog, Sunny. She turns 1 year old today. Cole, you were here when I got her that
Sonny.
first weekend, and she was a little toot. And she's been up to the studio a couple times, but
She has been. She's been. First few times you brought her, she was just I don't know. When they're really small, they're just sleeping all the time.
yeah. Well,
But-
remember the one time Carla, I think, sent us pizza, and Jake, our intern,
Yes.
took Sunny out to walk, and she would not walk with him on the leash. So
That's the the balance of having a new puppy is that they're cute and amazing, but they sometimes don't quite cooperate.
a puppy no more. She's 1 year old. Happy birthday to Sunny. Okay, it is that time. Time for Cole's joke of the week. What do you got for us this week?
I was debating whether from our YouTube chat if I should hide that I'm reading out of a book and that these aren't from myself, but this book's great. So anyways,
You're welcome.
Tonight's joke. A boy asks his father for a spider for his birthday. The father stops by the pet shop on the way home from work to find out more about spiders. What does one of these big ones cost? The father asks, pointing into the glass full of the arachnids. About $50, the store clerk replies. $50, the father replies. I'll just find a cheap one off the web.
Nice. Pretty good. Pretty solid. All right, 402-413-2400. Let us know what you thought, your thoughts. While we're waiting on some of those responses, so this is the final show for me for a while. I'm going to go on vacation, go back to Oklahoma, see the fam. Might try to head over to Stillwater and catch some of the regional action. But we've got a fun week lined up for you next week, and the one and only Matt Coatney going to be here in studio with you guys all week. You
I'm
ready
excited.
for that?
I'm excited for Coatney.
Yeah.
It'll be good fun.
We've let him know. Make sure Thursday is joke of the week. You got your weekend winners. He's gonna have. He's gonna chat with Amy Williams. A lot of good stuff that he's got planned for next week, and hopefully Greg will be able to hop in as well.
Also, I was going
week.
to say, feel free to call in, everybody, because Coatney is no stranger to callers.
He won't know what to do with himself if he doesn't have calls
Right.
sitting in the
Yeah.
studio.
And
So
I
from Big
know,
Red Reaction.
I know people out there are wanting to talk to Coatney, so
Okay.
it'll be fun.
All right, so we got a couple people saying that I need to get Sunny a pup cup. I do. But let's see here. Husker and Hanover, 8 for Corn Colio. Nice job. And then Ethan, I'm sorry, Cole, but you get a 6 for me today. It was okay. Andy gives you a 4.5. Wow, these are like the lowest scores you've had in a while.
Yeah,
Dryce gives you a 7. Crypto, 7 for originality from book. He gets 8 for delivery and a 9 for funny. Also give him a 10 plus for being Colio. So
Yeah, maybe not the best joke, but okay, I'm going to hype myself up here. Art said, going to give Cole a perfect 10, not for the joke, though, for how great he produced baseball games over the weekend.
Yes.
Cole made it a smooth operation. Wow, that's
Absolutely.
interesting.
you got any more over there?
Just a 5.5 from Dennis.
You're not gonna read the low scores.
No, I'm all right.
Hey, speaking of producing baseball, so we got a minute here. You're gonna be here all weekend. Actually, not here tomorrow, right?
Not here tomorrow, but here
you're gonna be
most
here
of the
throughout the
weekend,
weekend. We've got 2 o'clock, 1:30, right? Unless weather messes us up tomorrow.
Yes. Stay tuned to Twitter accounts, local affiliates, all that good stuff for weather. But the plan is 1:30 pregame, 2 p.m. first pitch.
All right, so Nebraska, Florida, be here right here on the Huskers Radio Network with a 2 o'clock first pitch, barring any weather, 1:30 pregame. So Coatney and whoever else, maybe Ben, we might even be playing on Monday, who knows, but we'll have all the recap for you coming up next week here on Sports Nightly. Thanks to Cole and Camden for helping us out here today. Have a great weekend and enjoy some baseball, Husker Nation.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Hi, this is Husker National Champion and Super Bowl champ Tony Veland. Throughout my football career, chiropractic care helped my athletic performance on the field and kept me in the game. Today, regular chiropractic care keeps me healthy and active to do the things I love. Chiropractic is safe and effective for all ages. Make chiropractic your first choice to reduce pain, improve your mobility, and feel better naturally. It works for me, and it can work for you too. Learn more at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Stay active with chiropractic.
Hey Huskers, it's a new day in Nebraska. Manzer Equipment, Mertz Farm Equipment, and West Point Implement of Columbus have teamed up as True Ag and Turf. Coach Rule is bringing innovation and high-performance standards to Husker football, and True Ag is doing the same to your farm with game-changing Fendt equipment. As Big Red establishes power on the field, True Ag and Turf does the same in the field by welcoming Fendt to Nebraska.
At Groundworks, we take great pride in helping our Nebraska neighbors keep their homes healthy. From repairing foundations to waterproofing basements to fixing crawl spaces or lifting concrete driveways. We'd like to think our customers choose us because of our attention to detail or the fact that we're the nation's leading foundation solutions provider. What gives our customers the most comfort is we're right here in Nebraska. Visit groundworks.com for a free estimate. Groundworks. Foundation solutions crafted with pride. The official foundation company of the Huskers.
For farmers, productivity isn't an option, it's everything. And at Valley, we feel the same, delivering game-changing technology and irrigation solutions that advance agricultural productivity, with the results to prove it. From our leading irrigation technology to expert advice, you can always rely on Valley to bring out the best in your farm. At Valley, productivity isn't an option,